Modern day lo-fi is a genre that is championed by soft, melancholic electronic guitar sounds, with artists such as Mondo Loops, Be Calm and Late Night Tones filling up the roster on Lo-Fi Girl, playing that electric guitar driven sound that a lot of us have come to love. So I decided to make this video to show you the process of recording guitar into my lo-fi tracks, as well as the setup and how I process the tracks once they're into my DAW. I've got a track here that I've been working on that I'm really enjoying. It's got this really sleepy ambient style to it. Sounding super nice, and I'm really enjoying where this is heading at the moment. I've got about a minute of this track down already with a little bit of an arrangement, some bass, some drums, and just a bunch of different piano layers here. So it's about time that I record some guitar onto this track, take it to that next level and see if it's something that I want to keep developing further. So the first thing that I'm going to do is plug in my guitar, and then we'll talk about the setup. So I'm using a Fender Squier Telecaster. It's a super nice guitar, not too expensive on the budget. Once I've got my guitar, I'm going to plug it into my audio interface. I just plug mine in DI, so I'm not using any external hardware or any pedals to route to, and then into my audio interface, I'm plugging straight in to the interface, and that's routed into my computer. So now I've got this plugged in, I'm not automatically going to get any sound in my DAW. No sound at all. So the next thing that I need to do is set up my DAW so that my guitar sound is coming in straight away. I've got a template on my mixer, so I've already got this guitar recording channel, and I record all of my guitars into one channel, then process them separately as I need to. And this is just a little bit easier on my CPU. I've not got tons and tons of different guitar recording channels running at the same time. The first thing I'm going to do is arm this channel for recording, and you do that by clicking the little record button at the bottom there, but still no sound coming through. So the next thing I need to do is select the channel from my audio interface in my DAW. I know this is routed to channel 2 in the interface, so I'm going to select into on the DAW here. Straight away there, we're going to get some sound, and this is just the raw sound of the guitar. It's not giving that warm, lush, lo-fi sound that we want already. There's a little bit of processing that I do on my guitar before it even gets recorded into the track. I've got an EQ set up, and I run this on every single guitar recording that I have. It's just a low cut, cutting out any of that low rumble below sort of 100 Hertz. I run my guitar through Guitar Rig 7. That's the software that I use to essentially amp up my guitar in the DAW. So if I open Guitar Rig 7 here, and you'll see that I'm using a preset called Clean Cave. This is my favorite preset. I've also got a bunch of presets here from Late Night Tones himself. He made this really awesome pack with a couple of his favorite sounds and favorite presets for Guitar Rig. It's got some really beautiful sounds on there. But if I play now that I'm running straight through Clean Cave or straight through Guitar Rig, you'll hear that it sounds a little different. There, I'm getting that really lush, warm, kind of soft sound that I love to use in my tracks, and that you'll hear in a lot of lo-fi tracks. I'm not saying that the biggest artists are using Guitar Rig, they may be, but this is the preset that I really like to use in my tracks. Another really popular guitar amp simulator that I see is the Archetype Corey Wong or the Mateus Alto, which also give just a really nice sound, and are plugins that I'm going to be looking to in the future, but they are quite expensive. So I will say play around with trials and make sure you're picking up the software that you really want or that you really like the look of. So now that I've got my guitar rig, my EQ set up, my mixer is set up for recording, we are ready to go. I'm going to highlight these 8 bars here, and I'm going to start laying down some really simple guitar layers, and then I'll show you how I start processing those. So I'm going to click record on my DAW. We'll give it a go. And what I like to do is once I finish recording one layer, I switch it off and then I record the next layer. It stops you trying to play with those layers together, and you just get more and more ideas out, and it's a little bit easier to be creative. I messed up the back half of that take, so I'm just going to record the second half of that this time. Alright, cool. I got 3 different guitar layers there. So let's take a listen to how those sound in context with the track, and then let's talk about how I process those. What I will do at this point is change the audio input on FL Studio back to the direct sound devices. Again, just a little bit easier on my CPU if I'm running it this way, rather than when I have the guitar plugged in and I have to use the ACO device. And what I'll do once I've recorded those is I will bounce the tracks so that it kind of freezes the state. So this takes that recording with the effects that it's playing on, freezes that in place. So what I can do is take that consolidated file and process it separately. Again, just saving on CPU here. And I'll do that with all 3 of these layers. Now both of those ARP layers, I only recorded 4 bars, just because it's a little bit easier to be consistent that way. And then I can just duplicate them out like that, so we get an 8-bar recording. So let's take a listen to what we've got here. I'm just going to rename these so I know exactly what I'm working with here. It just makes it a little bit easier to know what we're working with. And then, yeah, let's start processing these. So I'm going to start with these ARPs. I'm going to run these into one of my guitar channels. So that one in 16, let's put this one in 17. So now I've got everything routed to our mixer. I will start tackling these one by one, and then we'll process them all together. So for processing, like I say, I've already recorded through Guitar Rig with a low cut on there. So that's already happening. What I always start with another EQ just to make sure there's nothing really sticking out of the recording I need to take down or boost up. So you can see here, this middle frequency is just a little bit higher than the rest. So we'll put a dynamic EQ on that. Then I might put a high cut on this as well. Just so it's not so sharp. What I'll add next is some sort of compression. So I like to use the TDR Kotelnikov just on the mastering warm preset, and then tweak it so we're getting between 1 and 3 dB reduction. Let's turn that ratio up a little bit. That's sounding nice. And then with this ARP, I think what I'm going to go with here is something a little bit ambient. So let's find a reverb that we can use to kind of wash this sound out. A Valhalla Supermassive. And I'm going to use my preset long reverb. And let's tuck that away in the back of the mix. I think what I also might do with this is add some auto panning. So I got this plugin called Pancake 2, and what that does is auto pans a sound. You can set it to be for 2 bars or 4 bars or whatever. Saves a load of work with automations. And you'll see how the sound automatically pans right to left, which I think sounds super, super nice. Let's just bring those in a little bit so it's not going all the way out. Yeah. Really nice. So we've done that with our first ARP. Let's move on to processing on the second ARP. Generally, it'll be pretty much the same. We'll skip the processing on this one, and I'll just stop if anything is slightly different. So as you think, I want to make this sound a little bit wider. So I'm going to add on the chain for this one, just some ozone imager, and just add a little bit of stereo and a little bit of width to that. And I'm going to stick this one to the left ever so slightly. So those ARPs now are really playing nicely together. And that's happened because I've stuck that one to the left. We've mixed them both properly with some nice processing, cutting out the parts we don't need to. It's playing really nicely with that panning because that ARP 2 is panned slightly to the left and ARP 1 is moving quite a lot. So you get these parts where they come together and then that ARP 1 is sticking out in the right really nicely. So now let's move on to processing the melody. My guitar chain is pretty much the same, but I'll maybe not wash it out with as much reverb. Let's take a listen. There's quite a lot of low end in that I don't want there. So let's get rid of that. Let's add our compressor. Quite a lot of compression on this one. Now that we've got that on, let's stick on a nice reverb. Let's try round this time again. Let's go for one of the large ones. Maybe guitar ambient bass. And add another EQ onto that after the reverb, because I think that reverb is just adding a little bit of muddiness. Something simple like that. And then finally, let's widen that sound just as much as the other one. So what I'm going to do now is add probably that first ARP to our intro, and we'll have that fade in as a really nice kind of starter to the track. So now all of our processing's done. Let's take a listen to how the track is sounding with the guitar added in. Super nice, and I'm really happy with how that came together. What do you guys think? Are you a fan of this electronic guitar lo-fi sound? Do you prefer the old sample driven sound? Let me know in those comments. Also drop a comment with your favorite guitar plugins or your favorite tips and tricks for recording guitar in lo-fi tracks. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you like this video and you're interested in watching me break down some of my other beats, click on the video that's on the screen right now and you can go ahead and watch that video straight after this one.